Everyone processes ballroom dance technique in a little bit different way, whether that's visual, kinesthetic, mechanical. Well, today I'm going to show you another way that might help you understand rise and fall, when to do it, how we can use that to maximize breathing in our dancing, and how to create beautiful soft shapes and dancing. I'm going to jump back and forth between here, showing you some things up close and mechanically, and then we'll go back and forth to the studio so I can show you what that looks like when I'm dancing with a partner. Okay, so over my decades teaching, I have seen a pretty reliable trend in how people learn rise and fall and when to do it. And they go through these kind of dramatic steps before they get to the next level. So when we very first learn rise and fall, almost all of us have to get control of those gross motor skills. And the book literally says when to rise, when to fall, okay? Now, when I was a kid, young teen, I was really into skateboarding, okay? So I'm gonna use some skateboarding analogies today. And you know what? If this makes sense to even one of you, we've had a great victory. Hopefully it'll help out a few more people. Okay, so when you start out skateboarding, it's just one level, zzz, much like learning a box step beginning in ballroom dance, but pretty soon that gets real boring and we start adding, I'll say, obstacles to make the balance more challenging, just like we would in ballroom dance. And those skateboarding obstacles look different. So this, hopefully you can see, is a skateboarding ramp. It's a mini one. So we have a mini skateboard. This is called a finger skateboard. And the mini skateboard ramp, okay? And I brought some different styles of skateboard ramps today to help you visualize how we're going to most efficiently and beautifully rise and fall, okay? So the first phase we go through as ballroom dancers, from what I've seen, I would say 99% of the time, is it's pretty darn rocky. What would that look like? Well, imagine you're going down a flight of stairs as a skateboarder, and you can do that, but it's pretty rocky. And you learn to control that movement, that rise and fall, or in that case, just falling with time. So when we first learn rise and fall in dancing, we are going down those stair steps. Very, I'll say, jerky. But we're getting from point A to point B. Technically, we are doing the rise and fall, the book says, and the compression. So let me show you what this kind of first fundamental step in learning rise and fall and your shape and stuff is going to come out of this when we're dancing with a partner, okay? So I will be right back and give you a little stair step visual of dancing. Okay, so this will be a demonstration as lead of what we will call skate ramp number 1. This is a totally natural progression in how we learn rise and fall. I'll show solo and then with a partner. So we learn we're going to rise and fall. We tend to do that all through the thighs. Or another, after you kind of get, okay, now I'm falling and going, now I'm going to go down, up, and it's very choppy. We don't want to do that. And let me show that with a partner for starters. I'll show that as lead first. So this is not so good. It's textbook right in terms of rise and fall. It's very choppy. Now I'm going to show that as a follow. Thank you. Same thing if I'm going backwards. Usually as lady I would go backwards. And as lady, it's very important to stay low pretty much the whole time. I could care less if the book tells me to rise. Don't do it. I always want to stay lower than my lead. I'm built like a normal lady. We tend to not have really strong muscles up here. We've got a lot of weight down here. If I stay low, he can feel where I am. If you're up too high, he cannot feel you. He's gonna try to feel you with his arm and you're gonna complain that he's hanging on you, but it's actually you. So stay nice and low. So with a lot of repetition, we get control of that rise and fall. We develop the gross motor skills, the fine motor skills, somewhat of the ankle control to do that gracefully and with control and not look like we're riding a bucking bronco. So the next skateboarding ramp style I, like clockwork, see people do is they manufacture sway. So it should be coming from our rise and fall, but they do it from the top. So in terms of skateboarding ramp shape, that looks like this. So you'll see we've got a couple curves going on here, a curve and a curve. So in terms of your top line, we're doing all sorts of things to create a shape. This will probably, you can win syllabus doing that for sure through gold. But you know what, guys? It's not going to get you really to that elite level at all. It's going to be all jacked up compared to everyone else on the floor if we don't get out of this skateboard ramp style. Because we have a partner in front of us, and ideally in skateboarding, we have control. Control. If we have too many curves going on in here, who knows where that skateboard is going to go? I'm going to end up hanging on my lead when I'm going this way and that, trying to make my shape. And my lead, likewise, is going to, I'll say, dump my partner. Okay, so very uncomfortable, very clunky, very tiring, and honestly not very aesthetically pleasing. So depending on, because we have a curve in here, so many curves going on, that skateboard could go any which way. It is not reliable. And so let me show you, but I mean, it does visually look better than the stair step ramp. But let me show you what this way too many curves ramp looks like when we execute that with a partner. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to show that as both lead and follow. And then after we kind of master that problem, our next problem is we try to add shape. And that would look something like this. I'm going to show solo, and then as lead, and then as follow with problem number 2 that we've got to get out of our dancing to create normal, beautiful shape. We try this shape. We try this shape. And all that does is dump our partner. So the next beast that we slay is we want to think about keeping our top line, whether it's lead or follow, but especially for the lead, keep it parallel with the floor. So I don't want to go like a windmill. I'm always thinking about keeping my top line parallel with the boards. This is going to be not only more aesthetically pleasing to a human eye, judges are human beings, they have human eyes. It's going to be easier for our partner to feel us. Because when we're doing ballroom dancing, we're already busy feeling the vector force, what direction we're going. It's way too much going on if I'm trying to manage that and this. So I'm going to show a little better as lead and follow. 1, even, even. And now here I am as lead. This will be the bad one. I'm shaping. And this is, it just looks like a piñata. It's just way too much going on. Just keep it even, even. None of that. Don't even. Keep it even instead of here. Okay? Now I'm going to show as follow, not windmilling it. That's going to feel heavy in his arm. Okay? So this is the bad one. This is the skate ramp number 2. He has a heck of a time feeling that. You don't have a lot of body weight up here, it just falls off. So when I teach, I tend to get a good result of getting out of that crazy shaping mode by having people think about keeping their top line, their shoulders, level with the floor. Now, is this going to change with time, like with an overswing? Absolutely, but certainly when you are learning these fundamental figures and syllabus, it will benefit you to get control of that top. And think about, I am a picture hanging on the wall, so if the top of your screen there is a wall, I'm going to try and match that parallel as much as I can and not get, certainly not cattywampus. This way I'm looking up at that top. And nor do I want this way, okay? So it's really rocky. It's not balanced. It's not aesthetically pleasing. But when I do get control of that, I'll say nice even top, the next kind of layer people add on is a smooth rise and fall and a smooth top. Now that skateboarding ramp looks like this. Okay, it's one straight line. Okay, so if I were riding down this on my skateboard, ding, zzz, a little bit of acceleration. So you're gonna get a little bit of breathing. Not super exciting, but it's definitely smooth. It's less ugly than going crazy with the top. But it is very simple. And it's not going to result in much deceleration or acceleration. And the shape will be quite flat as well, which flat is better than bad. So it is not a step in the wrong direction. It's just a step in the right direction on your way to the top of the ladder that I've seen time and time again. So I want to kind of share with you and maybe even accelerate how fast you can kind of hit these different levels to create, with the minimum time investment, minimum money investment to get those beautiful shapes and swing as fast as you can learn them. Okay, so let me show you now with a dance partner what our next kind of step in progress in the rise and fall is and what that looks like on the dance floor. I'll be right back. So reining that in, we're going to think about controlling the fall. And our next kind of step in progression is we are graceful. Got our Mona Lisa, but the acceleration is missing. So this is ramp number 3, looks something like this. Or going backwards. So it's all one speed. And in real dancing, like at a high level, we have an acceleration and a deceleration. When we're at the top, it's zoom, zoom, not. So I'm going to show kind of that next step progression. And I'll show that as a lead and a follow. So this is ramp number 3. It's clean. It's doable. And now I'll show that as a follow. This is ramp number 3. And ladies, if your lead complains you're pulling on him, guarantee that's what you're doing is ramp number 3. Finally, kind of the ultimate goal we are aiming for, I'll say that fourth and final kind of step of progression in Rise and Fall, making that beautiful dancing. Our penultimate skateboarding ramp shape, ta-da! It's the original one I showed you. So it is not flat. It's not rocky and bumpy. It's not all sorts of angles going on. There's one vector, one angle, so it's very consistent with what my partner can expect for me to do next. And it drops down and then it goes out. So it doesn't go down and up, it goes down. And then if we were to envision the other side of say a half pipe, it would go, for example, in a waltz, down and decelerate and up, down, decelerate, up, down. And it's like clockwork. We can tell where our partner's going next and then time our body appropriately, okay? So this is the ideal rise and fall, is I'm dropping down and then I'm gradually finishing it out instead of down, instead of down, right? And instead of down all over the place, okay? And so I'll be right back. I'm going to show what it's a simplified version, but hopefully you can see when I'm dancing with the partner, the difference in the movement and how that's going to serve you. So anyway, I'll be right back with my ideal skateboard ramp, waltz, rise and fall. Okay, this is our ideal ramp that are kind of our final phase in our dancing that we need to get to compete in that open kind of elite level. We have a skateboard ramp and it zooms down and it's predictable. I know exactly where it's going to go. There's nothing crazy going on. There's no bumps in the ramp. It's not, that's almost like being lowered down on a chain. It's, pretend we have 2 of these ramps. Shoo, shoo. And now we'll show skateboard ramp number 3. This is where actual like pendulum swing comes from. We have a ton of that in all of our dances except tango. Although even in tango there is going to be an element of the drop and go. I know the book says no rise and fall, but we don't dance tango like that. We just have a ton of fall. There's no rise. Okay, so I'm going to show that first as a lead. So this is the best ramp. We're kind of aiming for this one. Zoom. And we're done. Zoom. And done. So zoom. And then we slow down when we get to the next ramp. Zoom. Then we slow down when we get to the next ramp. And now I'll show that as follow. We'll do the same thing as follow. I can show backwards because usually Lily goes backwards when she dances. Zoom. Zoom. Okay, so hopefully that'll give you a little bit of a different visual on where that swing and and that shape comes from. Now, if your pro is focusing on something else, appears to be skipping one of these steps, is doing it in a different order, I'm not personally your dance teacher. Everyone does move in their own unique way and learns in a little bit of a different way. And so if you hear something contradictory, definitely go with what your teacher says because they can see and feel your dancing. I'm painting with a broad brush here to what I see most of the time, but we are all our own unique little machine, uniquely and wonderfully made. Again, when you are dancing next time, thinking about, well, shoot, how do I make this pretty shape? How do I move and control? How do I get light and shade? Well, this rise and fall. And I want you to think about your little skateboard. And hopefully that'll give you a new tool in your bag of tricks to make your dancing better. And hey, closing thought, shout out to these wonderful people. I cannot thank them enough for helping me out in these videos, guys. Honestly, I would say over half the time they have no clue what I'm going to pull out of my keister that day, and they just do it with joy in their hearts and really want to help everyone as well. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you first thing tomorrow for some more things ballroom dance, guys. Thanks for joining me. Happy dancing.